Jerusalem, the city of prophecy, history, and faith. But what if the very earth beneath this sacred city is speaking to us? The Mount of Olives, one of the most revered places in the world, has stood for millennia, a silent witness to the hopes and prayers of countless generations. But now, something is happening. Fresh cracks are appearing on this ancient mountain, deepening and widening with each passing day. Could this be a sign? A sign that we are on the brink of witnessing the fulfillment of a prophecy that has been waiting to unfold for thousands of years? The Bible speaks of a time when the Mount of Olives will split in two, the earth trembling as the Messiah returns. Are we witnessing the first tremors of that moment? Stay with us as we explore this mystery, the science behind the cracks, and the prophecy that could soon come to life. The Mount of Olives in history, discovery, and prophecy. The Mount of Olives is not just another hill in Jerusalem. To both Jews and Christians, it holds deep spiritual significance. For Jews, this mountain is sacred, home to over 150,000 graves, all facing the Temple Mount. It's a place where they believe resurrection will take place when the Messiah comes. And for Christians, the Mount of Olives is the site where Jesus spent many of his final moments on earth, praying before his crucifixion, teaching his disciples, and ultimately ascending into heaven. But the mountain's story doesn't end there. It is also a place steeped in prophecy, especially in the ancient texts of Zechariah, where we read, "On that day his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, and the mountain will split in two from east to west." This precise prophecy speaks not only of the physical mountain, but also of the earth itself, responding to the Messiah's return. In recent months, geologists have reported a shocking discovery. Fresh cracks, deep and widening, have started to appear along the Mount of Olives. These aren't remnants of the powerful 1927 earthquake, nor are they the result of natural erosion. No, these cracks are new, unseen before. Surveyors have observed the fissures deepening with disturbing rapidity. Experts, alarmed by these developments, have been scrutinizing the situation. While some scientists argue these cracks may be the result of natural geological shifts, others are sounding the alarm, noting the eerie similarity between these changes and what prophecy foretold. Could this be a sign that the prophecy in Zechariah is coming to life? Could the earth beneath our feet be shifting, preparing for a fulfillment that has been centuries in the making? The cracks aren't just superficial. They may represent a much deeper shift, one that speaks to the world's spiritual history and future. Geologists have pointed out that the Mount of Olives sits atop a major fault line running through the Jordan Rift Valley. The 3815 JRNS is an area known for its seismic activity, but the timing of these changes, combined with the location, raises a troubling question. Is this event the first tremor of a far greater geological and prophetic shift? In recent weeks, Israeli geologists have even raised concerns about the stability beneath the mountain. They note that the changes are subtle, but the cracks are widening, suggesting something more than just minor geological movement. Some have even admitted privately that the timing of these events coincides with the exact fulfillment of biblical prophecy. As alarming as the scientific discoveries are, they are further compounded by a spiritual urgency. Jewish and Christian traditions alike are waiting for the Messiah to return to this very mountain. The idea that the Mount of Olives could physically split in two is a deeply ingrained belief. Is this truly the moment that Zechariah's prophecy has been preparing us for? The Eastern Gate and its role in prophecy. As the cracks in the Mount of Olives widen, another ancient symbol looms just a short distance away. The Golden Gate, also known as the Eastern Gate. This gate is the only entrance in the walls of Jerusalem that leads directly to the Temple Mount. making it an extraordinary point of interest in both history and prophecy. For nearly 5 centuries, the Golden Gate has remained sealed. First closed by Ottoman Sultan Suleiman in the 16th century, it stands as a physical barrier, blocking any passage between the Mount of Olives and the Temple Mount. But according to ancient prophecy, this gate will not remain sealed forever. The prophet Ezekiel spoke of this very gate when he wrote, "The gate will remain shut until the prince comes." In Jewish and Christian traditions, the Golden Gate holds a powerful promise. Both faiths believe that the Messiah will enter Jerusalem through this very gate, ushering in an era of peace and restoration. The belief is that the gate will open when the time is right, when the Messiah returns. But what is the connection between the Golden Gate and the Mount of Olives? The answer lies in the prophecy of Zechariah, which not only speaks of the Mount of Olives splitting in two, but also mentions a valley forming from the mountain to the city of Jerusalem. On that day, his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, and the mountain will split in two from east to west, forming a great valley. This valley, created by the splitting of the Mount of Olives, is prophesied to connect directly with the Eastern Gate. The geographical connection between the Mount of Olives and the Golden Gate is no accident. Both are central to the fulfillment of the messianic prophecies. The idea that the land will be physically altered to prepare for the Messiah's return is a compelling and dramatic element of the ancient scriptures. As we examine these signs, the question remains, how close are we to witnessing the fulfillment of these ancient prophecies? Could the earth be shifting, preparing for something monumental? Geological evidence. The cracks are real. 3.5 minutes. As the cracks in the Mount of Olives deepen, the question shifts from prophecy to hard science. What are these cracks, and how significant are they? To answer that, we must look at the geological evidence and the history of seismic activity in the region. The Mount of Olives lies atop a major fault line, part of the larger Jordan Rift Valley. This region is known for its geological instability, with earthquakes and tremors being relatively common. However, what is happening now is different. The cracks that have been appearing on the mountain are not remnants of past quakes or natural wear. They are new, widening fractures that have been observed growing rapidly over the past few months. These cracks are alarming, and experts are taking them seriously. Geologists from Israel and around the world have been carefully monitoring the situation, noting that the shifts in the earth beneath the Mount of Olives are unlike anything they've seen before. Some scientists believe that this could be a natural result of the fault line shifting, but others are concerned that the growing fissures are indicative of a larger, more significant geological event unfolding. One of the most troubling aspects of these cracks is their location. The Mount of Olives sits in an area of Jerusalem that is steeped in both historical and spiritual significance. The very ground where these cracks are appearing is sacred to millions of people around the world. For many, this is more than just a geological event. It feels like a physical manifestation of prophecy coming to life. Experts have warned that the instability beneath the mountain could have serious implications. Israeli geologists have been increasingly vocal about their concerns, suggesting that the current shifts could signal a major change in the region's geology. In fact, there have been whispers among some of the experts that the timing of these events may be linked to the fulfillment of biblical prophecy, the exact prophecy that speaks of the Mount of Olives splitting in two when the Messiah returns. The timing of these cracks could not be more significant. Historical records show that there was a similar sense of alarm in the 1970s when a proposed construction project on the Mount of Olives was halted due to instability in the rock beneath the surface. It seems that the mountain has been sending subtle signals for years. Now, with the cracks widening, those signals are impossible to ignore. As the cracks continue to grow, the urgency surrounding these developments only increases. In the coming weeks and months, experts will continue to monitor the situation closely. But one thing is certain: the Mount of Olives is shifting. Whether these shifts are geological or prophetic, the impact of these changes will be felt by people around the world. Spiritual and scientific implications, 3.5 minutes. The cracks in the Mount of Olives are not just geological oddities, they are imbued with deep spiritual meaning, resonating with themes of divine power and prophecy. Throughout Scripture, we see that earthquakes are not merely natural events. They mark moments of profound divine intervention. From the shaking of Mount Sinai, when God descended to deliver the Ten Commandments, Exodus 19:18, to the earthquake that split the temple veil at the moment of Jesus' death, Matthew 27:51. Earthquakes in the Bible have always been associated with pivotal moments in God's plan. Could these cracks be the latest in a long line of divine signs? Some experts suggest that the geological shifts happening on the Mount of Olives might serve as a physical manifestation of God's presence, a sign that the moment of prophecy is drawing near. The book of Zechariah speaks clearly of the Mount of Olives splitting when the Messiah returns, and it is this very prophecy that seems to be coming into sharper focus as we witness these unsettling developments. It's not just the religious community that is paying attention to these cracks. Secular experts are beginning to take notice as well. Dr. Gabriel Barkay, a well-known archaeologist, commented on the timing of these geological events, acknowledging that while he doesn't connect them directly to prophecy, the synchronicity with ancient texts is too striking to ignore. He and others in the scientific community have begun discussing the possibility that the shifting Earth is not just an ordinary geological occurrence, but something much more, something that is part of a divine plan. The uncertainty of the timing. As the cracks deepen and the Earth trembles beneath the Mount of Olives, the question becomes not just what is happening, but when. While the signs are becoming more apparent, one crucial aspect of biblical prophecy remains clear. No one knows the exact timing of the Messiah's return. In Matthew 24:36, Jesus himself reminds us, "But about that day or hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father." This reminder serves as a sobering call to humility. Despite all the signs, the world cannot know when the Messiah will return. It is a mystery held in the divine will of God alone. Yet, the growing number of signs, the cracks on the Mount of Olives, the shifting fault lines, and the renewed attention to prophecy have created a palpable sense of urgency. Religious communities around the world are watching and waiting, asking, could this be the moment? The question lingers in the air. Are we on the brink of witnessing the fulfillment of these ancient prophecies? Or is this merely the beginning of a much longer wait? While we cannot know the exact timing, the cracks serve as a reminder that something is happening. The sense of expectation is building, not just in Jerusalem, but across the world. The changes in the earth are symbolic of the larger shifts in the spiritual landscape, as if the world itself is bracing for a monumental event. What happens if these prophecies are fulfilled in our lifetime? How will the world respond when the Mount of Olives splits, the Eastern Gate opens, and the Messiah returns? For believers, the implications are profound. The fulfillment of these prophecies would be the beginning of an era of peace, justice, and restoration, a moment long awaited by billions of people. But for now, we are left in suspense, watching the cracks grow deeper, wondering if we are witnessing the early stages of a transformation that will change the world forever. The Mount of Olives is cracking. The earth beneath this ancient and sacred site is shifting, revealing fissures that both scientists and religious communities are watching closely. For some, these cracks are a mere geological occurrence, a natural consequence of the seismic activity that runs through this region. But for many, these cracks are something more, a visible sign of the fulfillment of an ancient prophecy that has been foretold for millennia. As we have explored today, the Mount of Olives holds profound significance in both Jewish and Christian traditions. From being the site of resurrection for the Jewish people to being the location of Jesus' final prayers and ascension for Christians, it has always been a place of great spiritual importance. And now, as cracks appear in the earth, the very place that has witnessed so much history seems to be preparing for a new chapter. The prophecy from Zechariah 14:4 tells us that when the Messiah returns, the Mount of Olives will split in two. These recent developments, fresh, widening cracks, seem to echo that ancient prediction. While no one can predict the exact timing of the Messiah's return, the convergence of science, prophecy, and history invites us to consider the possibility that we are witnessing something extraordinary. What does it mean for us in this moment? For many, it is a call to reflection. The cracks on the Mount of Olives are not just geological. They are a reminder of the promises made long ago and the potential for a new beginning. The world may be on the verge of a profound transformation, one that will change the course of history forever. But one thing is certain: the signs are becoming more evident. The cracks are growing. The tension is building. Whether these cracks are the beginning of the fulfillment of prophecy or merely the first tremors of a longer journey, they are a stark reminder that we are living in a moment of incredible significance. As we conclude today's exploration, we encourage you to reflect on the meaning of these events. What do the cracks on the Mount of Olives mean for your faith, your understanding of prophecy, and the future of our world? Stay tuned as we continue to track the developments and explore what might come next.